Hey everyone, we're going to make some Christmas soaps today. I know it doesn't look like it because you see a little ghost up there, but we're jumping into Christmas. I don't think you're going to know what season it is by the time you're done watching my channel because I'm going to jump around a lot. We will be back to Halloween in a very short time, but as some of you may know, I did some make and takes. I did a make and take, and I have more planned. But at the make and take I did, which is where you come together with a group of people and a leader who supposedly knows what they're doing. That was me. Um, and they guide you to do a certain craft and help you, and you take it home. So you make it and you take it, and then you have gifts to give other people, or you can keep it for yourself. So I did one of those with melt and pour soap. It was my first time ever doing that with melt and pour soap. um, it was hard but really really fun. I talk about it a little more in the video with the little round fall soaps. But the only reason I'm bringing that up now is because I made these couple of little trees here for the make and take. When you do something where you have to promote it, you have to create it ahead of time so that you have at least a picture, or an image or a video or something to share to promote what you're doing. So I had to do a little one here. I wasn't real thrilled with them. I wasn't thrilled with the color that the ghost came out. But it's what I had, and I was in a hurry. I had to get it done, and they're okay. They're all right. They're kind of plain. Um, where they would have been nicer is if I hadn't forgotten to not use goat milk for. I wanted to use goat milk for the ghosties because I wanted some plain white ones, and I thought that'd be kind of cool. And I like the goat's milk soap, so I thought, well, there's a good opportunity to use it because they're white. And then I kind of forgot that I was using that, and I poured it into the container that already had the mica dispersed, etc., because it was going to be a nice combo of crazy eyes green and lush green. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the other green was. Either way, I was mixing some greens together and it was really pretty until I poured the goat milk soap in. If you don't already know, any kind of white soap is going to make your colors pastel. And so this just wasn't my favorite. Anyway, so there's the one with the Sparkle Me Aqua that I sprinkled on top. And I feel like that color, that glitter ish, it's not really glitter mica, is so beautiful. It doesn't show itself off well in these soaps. And then that one's got the Sparkle Sunshine instead because I wanted them to each be a little different. I hope you can tell the difference in the glitter there. You'll see more of both of those glitters as I get to the soaps I made after my make and take when I had a bunch of leftovers. Not only did I have leftovers of shredded soaps because I made a lot. I wanted everybody to have enough to do what they wanted to do, and I just made those by making solid rectangles using clear melt and pour soap, not the white, not the goat's milk. Um, clear crystal premium crystal clear, but really any clear or translucent soap will do for something like this. You just want to see the color nice and vivid like this. And I just did little rectangle bars, the typical pink rectangle mold that's real popular from Amazon. If you don't know what that mold looks like, I will try to remember to link it along with the tree mold in the description box. That probably won't be until Wednesday. So those of you who are early birds, you probably won't see the links in there because this is running really late. But um the those molds are really good for just making somethings, little bars of soap that you maybe want to shred up. Could you do this with recycled soap, or you not necessarily recycled, but recycle your soaps? Like if you had a soap you didn't like the way it came out, but it was green, could you turn it into a tree? Oh, of course you could. Um, yeah, it's a great way to use up scraps, or you know, misfires, or something you're just not real thrilled with, or you're tired of looking at, and it's been sitting on the shelf for too long. Shred it up, turn it into a soap. You will notice that you don't just have to use green soaps, because I did a huge variety of colors. Don't be afraid to play with color. Take a look, if you want some inspiration, look at or look up on YouTube, do a search on YouTube for, Christmas decor trends. There's several videos I saw. They were kind of leaning toward people who were in the retail industry on, what they found at the retail shops and shows this year for things to buy that people sell in their stores. And they look for trends and they, buy accordingly. And so one of the trends again this year is unique colors for Christmas, not necessarily the traditional, but there is a return to the traditional as well. So those are always going to be, um, a standard because they are traditional. And but you will find a lot of people decorating their trees and or houses and or whatever, um, with pinks and with, mint green and blues and all kinds of colors. Anyway, check that out if you want some inspiration because it did inspire me a lot with what colors I chose, for this make and take project that I did. Not only am I trying to use up the rest of these shreds, because I did scent these. The reason I scented them is because they make up a very large part of the soap. If it was just a little bit, they're at least a third. They're at least a third of the soap, maybe not more. Um, about a third, because I pour a half. Well, you'll see in a minute. I'll tell you a little bit more when I start pouring these. But trust me when I say, that I didn't. Well, at least I didn't want it unscented. So you could, if you wanted to, not scent the bars or not, use up a fragrance. Doesn't have to be Christmas. It just has to go with Christmas or something Christmassy. And vanilla can be Christmassy. Peppermint. There's all kinds of directions you can go. Spicy, like a chai spice or like a pumpkin spice that can still linger at Christmas. You can get away with it. Spiced cranberry is one of my favorite Christmas scents ever. And I almost went with that with these, but it does go well with the scent I used, which was the applewood fir needle. If you didn't catch that earlier on, it's in all the shreds except for the white ones. That's not scented because I just directly shredded some squares of it. So no color, no scent on that on the white ones. Um, but the color combinations were really, and I won't say endless because that's not true. I only had about, what did I have, like six or seven colors. I think I just did six because I think I just filled up one tray and made bars. It made a lot of shreds because I had a lot of ladies at this make and take making trees, and they didn't all just make one. I let them, if they wanted to do a second one, I let them because they were having so much fun with it. And I did melt extra soap. I want to talk real quick about the soap I melted and, another reason I wanted to do these trees and do them now is I was using my 2 Auto Tools soap melter to have a large amount of soap melted. It it really comes in handy to have a soap melter if you've not used one. If you're doing something like a class or a demonstration or anything where you're going to be making multiple soaps, it's quite handy. I'll tell you again my trick with it for using, lower melt and pour soap, which is what I use. The Wholesale Supplies Plus Crafter's Choice soaps are quite low in the melting point temperature of the soaps. And so if you just melt it in one that does not have some type of, direct control over the temperature, you're going to be sorry. But I have a workaround, and it's quite easy. All you have to remember to do is set a timer. If you um, if you don't know it, most phones have a timer directly on them, or you can download an app, or you can use a kitchen timer, or you can use a watch if you have one. But set a timer. You want to check on it frequently. It's going to melt way faster than you think it's going to melt. It is zip fast. And so it will also overheat fast if you're not careful. But if you turn it off when it's about halfway melted and just close the lid back up, it's very nice lid, by the way. It closes very tightly and you will not burn yourself touching the lid. The only thing you can burn yourself on the outside of the melter is the spout. So I while this video is not sponsored by them, I am an affiliate, and I didn't put my affiliate link in the little, my area where I tell you what I'm affiliated with, but it is in my description, in the description box, both my link to Watto Tools and me telling you that I would earn a commission if you purchase from me for that. So, but I really enjoy using it, and so that's why I just wanted to mention it here because I don't talk about it frequently. I don't typically make that many soaps at once, and when I do, um, I just wanted to share it with you because it made the experience of teaching a lot of people and having several buckets of different fragrances kind of going around the room being um, passed around from here to there, and I did. A couple of times we had to reheat. That's kind of typical when especially if you're a lot of different people doing a lot of different soaps. Um, but I would have been I wouldn't have been able to do the class honestly without the melter. I thought about it and thought about it. I was just going to use the microwave at first, and I thought that was just nope. So I used the melter and was quite helpful. And so because they were having so much fun and I melted extra soap for the whole group, I wanted to make sure everybody got what they wanted, got what they uh, wanted out of the class, and so I did a little extra, and they ended up using some of the extra, but I just had melted it all. So there was extra in my melter. And you don't want to just leave that in there. So I did leave it in there overnight, truth be told, but it didn't seem to hurt anything. So I came out the next day and out to the workshop with my melter and reheated it so I could use it because I didn't want to just heat it up, pour it would have been smart had I poured it out into a bucket. Just let it go through the spout and pour it out into something else. Um, before I stopped the class, but I gotta tell you, yeah, I was exhausted. Um, if you ever lead a class like that, 1, 2 maybe, styles of soap that, draw yourself a limit. You don't wanna go past that, trust me. Um But this is a great project for something like that. This would also be a great project for, with supervision, of course, like with Girl Scouts or maybe the older ones, um, or groups, church groups, or youth groups, or clubs of various kinds, groups of kids, birthday parties, something like that. Gosh, it was fun. And because you make the shreds ahead of time, nobody's going to hurt their fingers. You only give them so many options. You just make the colors you want to make, and that's the option, and you let them. The fun is in mixing the colors. I think that's what they had fun with. And the glitter, putting the glitter on, um, and have them spritz it with alcohol or have you spritz it if they're too young for that. Um, After or before or both, they put the sprinkles on, and that way they're not gonna be inhaling any of that. That's one tip to note if you're using, the lightweight flyaway mica, which is really glittering mica. Not glitter, it's glittering mica. It's lightweight and will go into the air if you're not careful. If I had really young kids, I would definitely be supervising that and sprinkling the glitter on myself and then spritzing and then helping them to stir. But if you do alcohol before and after you apply the glitter, it's not going to fly up as they're stirring it. That's my point. Anyway, you see what I'm doing here? I just wanna kinda tell you a little bit of some tricks that I told the gals, and these were not kids. There was one, young lady who came with her grandmother. She was a teenager, I believe, or a little older maybe college age. But that was one of the cool things about it is you had a grandparent and a granddaughter having a great night, and then you had sisters, and then you had friends, and it was a really fun community event. Um, but the thing I told them that this is one of the easiest instructions is you pour the mold, you fill the mold halfway, just halfway, then you grab your handful of the sprinkles that you or not sprinkles, of the shreds that you created, make your own little pile. In hindsight, I would have put those in a bowl, in little bowls, give everybody a bowl to do, but I didn't. So I did have a nice mat out here, like I have, for them to stir their little piles on. And because that's the way I've always done it, that's what I did. But in hindsight, having so many people, they weren't all doing the same soap at the same time. But I would have had bowls. It would have made it a little neater, a little cleaner. Um, but you pour it with halfway with soap, then the liquid soap, obviously, at around 130 is ideal. 135 is, I think, what I did here. You have to be careful that you're not just putting a couple of shreds in after that because they will melt immediately. But if you take a little mini handful and shove it in there, of course you're going to spritz it with alcohol first, which will cool it, and then you put the shreds in and you squirt it again, and you put don't cram them really tight, but definitely fill the mold with them. And you're probably going to fill it higher than where the soap goes. And then you top it with more soap, spritzing with alcohol before you do. It is going to loosen a tiny bit of the glitter so that it comes out a little in the clear, but make them, it doesn't really mess up the clear. It doesn't make it not clear or, doesn't mess with the clarity. That's the word I was looking for. Does not mess with the clarity of the soap. If you did it before, if you did it like if you sprayed the shreds right before you put them in, you might find that it messes with the clarity a little. But on your second application of the soap, I spritzed it before and it didn't hurt anything. Um, anyway, that is, and when you go to pour that second layer of the melted soap, like I'm doing right here, if this is caught up to what I'm seeing, um, go in slow while it's hot. It will start to decrease in temperature, obviously, if you're doing multiples. And so your later ones are, you might have to work a little faster with them. You might not have to pour so gingerly at the end if it's not super hot. Always keep your thermometer handy and keep an eye on the temperature so you know. And if you have to reheat it, remember once soap is melted, don't put it in for 30-second increments anymore. You start with much less because it takes a lot less heat to get it back up to a usable temperature, even if it's completely solidified. Um, so go in less, go in with very little, and also keeping in mind that the lower the amount of soap in the bucket as you're using it, the less amount of heat is going to take to set up. So I would not do 30-second increments on my reheat unless you're starting to add more soap to it, like you've got more cubes that you've added in because you need a lot more. Anyway, that's my trick. I love those little, and it's really not a trick, it's just my technique I do for these soaps. I love those little plastic stir sticks because they just last forever. Um, I know some of you might not like that, but I also am not using up a bunch of trees to use wooden ones that are one use and throw them away. Um, these are very sturdy, and I definitely will use them over and over and over and over as long as I am making soap. And when I'm done making soap, hopefully I can pass them along to someone else who will make something. I don't ever see myself as being done making soap, but I'm not eternal at this point in my life. So, um, the sticks come in quite handy anyway. You can stir soap with them. They're not quite tall enough. I prefer normally, unless I just have a small amount, I prefer the silicone spatulas, which I think I actually have in that little bucket. I can't tell anymore if that's one of the sticks or one of the spatulas because there's a size that's very similar, size and shape that's very similar in a spatula to those. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So I'm sorry I'm rambling so much. I'm just trying to hurry and get this out because my lovely members who've been quite patient have been waiting patiently for their early access soap video. And keep in mind, if you decide to become a member, you will also get early access to my soap videos. It's usually about 24 hours early access. It is definitely the night before the video goes public, and they're no different videos than what you are seeing, but they just get to see them earlier, which can be really fun for some people. So, as you notice, real quick here at the end, those last two colors I had, or two piles I had, and stirred them together. Don't be afraid to test things. Don't be afraid to try mixing a variety of colors. It is always helpful to get your colors out and look at them. Like, look at your micas. Put them, if you have jars, put them out where you can see each color and see how they look together. And maybe, think about switching out. If you don't like the way a pink looks, maybe you need a different pink. There's tons of different shades. There's tons of different, um, oh, not just shades. What's the, oh, good grief, Terry. There's a lot of different nuance to colors. So if you find that some are too warm and they don't go with the other ones, don't be afraid to switch it out until you like it before, you create your color palette in soap. So what you see me doing here real quick, and they set up fairly fast, although you will notice in here, you will probably catch me on a couple of them, they weren't set up, and so I had to go back and stop and wait. But for now, I'm just trimming them, and you see, I checked that one. It was not ready. So I just waited a little longer. I think I finished trimming a little bit. Why am I trimming? Because I wasn't too messy with these, but you do get some on the outsides, and it is like along the edges of the trees on the mold on the outside. It is so much easier to take it off before you remove them from the mold, in my opinion. It can be easy to remove if it's just a real thin layer. You can just kind of pull it off and be fine with that. But I also like to trim the backs of these because sometimes you have little bit of a shred that sticks up. And it's not that it looks bad, it actually looks kind of cool sometimes, but it makes it much more difficult to wrap, at least for me. You want your tape to lie flat on the surface if it's going to really do its duty. And these are kind of tricky to wrap in general, so I don't like it to make it harder on myself. Maybe I will do a video down the road on how I wrap these because I've done them for years, and I think I have found a way that, well, I know I've found a way that works best for me to wrap them. So maybe I can help you out, giving you an idea of how I work around some odd shapes like this. So I will keep that in mind. And if I have a chance to throw down an extra video or maybe tag it on the tail end of another one, I will do that. And then I will obviously let you know, and you can watch me wrap soaps, which I hate wrapping soaps. So I'd probably at least just do a few for you. You don't want to hear the cursing that comes out when I'm wrapping soaps. Um, just kidding, sorta. So trimming the backs. Now you can see the other reason I brought this up is because you can hopefully see in the very bottom right corner where I'm kind of cleaning my knife off and just putting the little pieces that are just barely crumbs, kinda, of soap, and little shavings of the clear with a little bit of color in it because maybe a shred was sticking up. You can see that over there. You'll see it more in a moment because after I try to trim these and end up not trimming them, because they're still wet, still not set up. There, I tore through the skin on the top. Wasn't that fun? I just didn't wait long enough. Patience is a virtue. Um, but uh, I'm not going to show you, but I am going to tease them a little bit. Wait until you see what I do with those little tiny scraps. Oh my gosh, did they come out cute? I don't. I mean, look how pretty that is. To me, that's pretty. That looks like candy. It just looks like, I don't know, looks like crushed candy. Um, So cool. So I was really thrilled with those. And my first thought was to put them in a Christmas tree. They've got the Christmas tree mold right there. We know it looks cool with little shreds of things. but I changed my mind on that. I had a better idea, which you will get a little bit of a teaser here. As I'm pulling these out underneath, you'll be able to see what they are, but not really, because you can't guess how pretty they are when I take them out of the mold. There's just I was flabbergasted. But these are gorgeous. So, right now, focus your attention on the trees because I think they came out just stunning. They're hard to capture. Some of the colors are harder to capture. It's my lighting. I also did not take the time to clear everything out of the way underneath the camera, and I should have because it's much easier to see without a bunch of other trees blurry in the background, and without color. But, the extra colors kinda draw your eye in, and it's hard to focus on what you're looking at. These little Caribbean looking trees, Caribbean kinda colors, at least to me, look a lot better to me in person. I don't know, they kinda got dulled a little bit, and you don't quite see the color, on the camera, especially the golden Buddha color, it's kind of a golden yellow, and, um, and the green, it just kinda dulled them down. They really stand out more in person. These are pretty much my favorites right here, I think. I don't know, the first set I really loved too, the multicolor, but, I love if you can take a peek here, look at the, Sparkle Me Blue. Is that right? No, Sparkle Me Aqua. So pretty in those. Now this one's the Sparkle Plenty, which is obviously also gorgeous in a soap, but I wanted these to look kind of snowy, so that's why I went that direction. The Sparkle Me Aqua, though, just kind of glows. I'll bring them up in a minute. You'll see them; they'll come back up for the kind of end pictures for for all of them. You'll get to see just in pairs, a few side by side, and they won't be so it's not sped up like this is, so you'll get a better chance to look at them. They're held a little more still, which actually that's just because they're sped up. They look like they're moving fast and jerking around, and they're really not. It's just that's what happens when you speed things up. Those last 2, I guess, still weren't ready. They're so pretty. So what I did to stall for time on those is I came back to the initial green ones. I just wanted you to see them next to some multicolor because while I think they're okay, I think they would have been so much prettier with maybe a little white or a little gold or I don't know, maybe another color, maybe another pastel, if we did some other shades of green within pastels that, want a little bit more bluish, I think they would have looked nicer. Real quick, focus your eyes down on that glitter mess and see what I'm about to do. I'm going to unblur the back so you can see. That is the scrap from inside my bucket or my pitcher that I pulled out. I usually do pull those out and use them, but just so you see, I spritzed the glitter with a little alcohol and it picks it right up, and now I have a scrap to use with glitter all over it. You'd be surprised what kind of beautiful looking gemstones that will make. Someday I'll actually show you. But here we go with this is kind of like my up close and personals. I did take a quick couple of pictures at the end, which you will see it will transition from you watching me take a couple of pictures into the last pictures, and that will kind of finish us out. But I really hope that some of you who've had some experience will consider doing some make and takes, or if you have a craft project to do with kids or adults, as long as the kids are really well supervised, this is a really good project, particularly for older kids. I can't tell you how much fun the group of ladies had doing these. It was so much fun. So give it a try. It's not, even if you don't have a melter, you could use a double boiler or you could use a microwave. Just remember to put saran wrap over the top of your pitchers while if you're not using one, and make separate buckets for your separate fragrances, and it'll work. I promise you. So here I just laid these out. I wanted to get a cute picture for use in social media and such. And I don't know why I ended up leaving it at the end. I guess because I was switching to show you the pictures I took. I didn't get a bunch that turned out well, but there's a few. So thanks for hanging in with me. Make some Christmas trees. Make them early because it's going to be here before you know it. Thanks so much. Bye.